This is controversial gaming opinions, where we go around the room and we tell our controversial game opinions. We've limited it to 4 each. If you disagree or you do agree, you can put down in the comments below, and we'll be down there chatting with you guys.
All right, it's time to get spicy. Who's going first?
I'll take it first. All right, I'm going to throw a softball one up first.
Oh, softball. Okay, cool.
The mainline Pokemon games are boring copy and paste games, and the spin-offs are the more interesting titles.
I don't know who's going to debate you on this.
Dude,
Neither of y'all, but
I mean, I definitely agree with the main line.
you fight gym leaders, you get badges, and you progress to the
Yeah.
end. And that's all 8, or I guess there's 8 now.
Yeah.
All of them do that. And
This
then
is
the more interesting ones are like Legends Arceus, Pokemon Snap, Stadiums, stuff like that are the ones that I was more interested in.
okay. This is my third controversial opinion. Pokemon games outside of Arceus are all the same with just different Pokemon. They're Madden games.
Yeah. See, I'm
No,
glad.
that's true.
Okay, I'm kind of glad we agree because I was like, I didn't know where y'all were coming. Like, if y'all cared.
No, it's true. That's a good parallel to make. EA and Game Freak, they have too much success,
Yeah.
so they don't have to change. They don't
Yeah.
have to innovate. They're like, people like this. We'll just keep doing this.
Even with this new one that got announced, I like that there are elements of Arceus I'm seeing, but I feel like it's too early. It's the same year as Arceus. The feedback wasn't even there when they're developing this game.
And the one thing that Arceus got judged for was being ugly.
Yeah.
And this looks just like Arceus. I know that everyone says it looks good, but
I think it looks fine.
Just
I think this game does, the Scarlet and Violet do look better texture-wise. I don't think they're that much better to where it's like gonna...
Not in day at all, no.
Right.
I think it's more of Arceus was open fields and mountains and stuff, and this is more going to be like towns, cities. Like, it's going to be your...
Yeah, there's going to be more to the world, like I feel like Arceus, it's not only that the textures when you got up on them were kind of like, oh, that's flat, it's that there's this open area that you're looking at and it's like there's not really anything there, it's just hills, like it didn't feel like a lived-in world until you got up on Pokemon. Like even them, it's like, okay, these Pokemon, there's a group of Pokemon here, it's like you could tell they were just set there walking a path.
And like say take Pokemon Sword, that's one I had, compare it with my time with new Pokemon Snap, and my new Pokemon Snap time is triple of that. I think just because it's more like I'm more interested in what those spin-off games are.
Right. I think that's a fair opinion right there, is that Pokemon Snap is better than the mainline ones in 2022. Like at this point. I'm not saying all time. I know it's a very different thing. I'm saying like it's innovative and it's more unique, like the concept there, the idea stands out more, whereas Pokemon, like it's the same thing as it was when it initially came out.
So that was my controversial opinion. It's the same as him.
I don't know if I want to jump right into the fire here.
Oh yeah,
do you have
I will, because you brought up a turn-based game. And my first one is turn-based combat in games should have been left behind years ago. It was a necessity for RPGs when it started due to tech limitations, but we've outgrown it.
I can agree on a point of grindy games, but then you take a game like Persona 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say the combat in that works.
That game would still be better if it was hack and slash.
I don't think you'd get the same out of it.
I don't get anything out of the combat. I get everything out of the world in that game and the dialogue and like the music.
The combat's fun because you can...
You get to plan. And
you get to plan, and I'm not a strategy guy. I'm a freaking run in there, shoot everything, smash everything. But with that, you do have to plan a little bit, and I love the turn-based.
But it would be better if you just had your party of people
but
and your Joker, and you're seeing him do the moves instead of just standing there in place next to them on screen, also just standing there.
But I don't think you would get ingratiated with those characters as much if you didn't actually control them.
And that game has, I would say, probably 50, 60, probably more than that, moves that you can use. And I would say that'd be harder to do in a live, like if you're...
they've done it. Plenty of games like that have done it.
But it's like, I think it's a character. I think it helps build the story on the characters. Like, would I give a fuck about these characters if I didn't actually play with them and use their abilities too?
Well, it could be a party system where you switch.
Well, that worked very well for Final Fantasy 15. I hated that switching.
Oh, a lot of people did like it. I mean, I'll stand by Final Fantasy 15 is better than any of the combat in any other Final Fantasy game.
Not even close.
Okay, Final Fantasy 7, but again, better because they lost the old freaking gameplay system.
No, Final Fantasy 10 was perfect. With the
gameplay is just so...
It's better
literally
than...
just because they couldn't do the other stuff.
I used to be with Merle on this one, and then I played Persona 5 Royal. And Octopath Traveler.
Like with turn-based combat, there's not a time where I'm like, yeah, that was fun. Like, even that amount of excitement for the combat I just had. It's like, oh, yay, I get to go do some dialogue. That I'm actually more excited for dialogue for once.
Oh my god!
It's just a difference of opinions because I love the combat and I feel rewarded every time I see a boss blow up or die. Or
I feel like it's not fair that we went straight to Persona because I'm thinking like Octopath. Like Persona is the top end. I get it. Like, but again, that game is good because of everything around the combat.
Even like Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi, like when you beat those enemies and they explode and then your stats pop up at the thing, like I'm happy. Like it feels like beating a boss on a Souls game or anything.
Shit. Yeah,
like you beat a big boss on one of those, it's just it feels just as good to me.
Octopath Traveler's fun to me because you can every successful hit that you get, you can build an extra charge and then you can charge your next attack. So it makes it interesting. Like if you hit him with this weapon, you break his because he's weak to swords. You hit him with a sword, he breaks his shield, and then you build up a charge, and then you can hit him twice with your heavy weapon because his shield's broken.
There are layers to it, but whenever it's slowed down to the turn-based aspect of it, there's nothing kinetic about it. Like I want a game to feel like more skill-based. I know it's cerebral and it's thinking about your next step and everything, but it never pays off for me. Even when I do it right, I'm like, got through this annoying boss. That's pretty much how I feel whenever I win anything on a turn-based game. Y'all give it to me because I feel like y'all won that exchange.
I would say like Paper Mario, I've never played it. We started playing it recently, and it's like if you jump on this character, he's got a spike, you're gonna hurt yourself. But if you jump on the character that's flying, you knock him down, and then that allows for your teammate to attack him. And I don't know, I like that.
I just like the pacing of turn-based games. Like I'm not fast like on certain games. I don't where you need to be. Like say Final Fantasy 15, maybe I wasn't picking up the combat well enough to do that. But like on these turn-based games, I can sit there and think of how to attack or approach the situation.
And if I want to get a Pop-Tart in the middle of me fighting somebody, I can get up and go get a Pop-Tart.
Or you can pause it. No, okay, would Kingdom Hearts be better or worse if it was turn-based?
It wouldn't. I mean, it would just be different.
I don't know.
I feel like that game could very well be that.
I don't know. It could be better, honestly, because there's a lot of times I don't use a lot of the spells and stuff because I'm in this heated battle and I'm not using all my equipment and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the first one, because I've only really played the first one, could for sure be a better game.
Well, y'all want me to go ahead and roll into my next one because it ties in pretty good to what we've been talking about?
Is it another shitting on something I like?
It is very much
good.
That.
Yes, go.
Final Fantasy is the most overrated video game franchise.
Okay, how?
I agree. I actually
agree. Is.
I agree with you, Marley.
Like, especially if you look at it as a series, there's nothing like connected about it. Why is this whole series given this much credit for 3 games? As a series, it's not that good. Like, yes, Final Fantasy 6 and 7 stand out, and 10, but you shouldn't just act like, oh, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. It's like, I'm a fan of these 3 games. Like,
I'm a fan of Final Fantasy 15 because it's the only one I played, and I started 7 Remake. It's pretty.
It's fantastic.
In your face. It's too in your freaking face.
I don't know. I think what I like about Final Fantasy is that it does change with each one. So say if you missed 9 or missed,
you can play the next.
You can play them, and it makes it more accessible. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't played enough to defend the whole series, but I say the ones 7, 10, 15, 7 Remake. I played a little bit of 6, and I think that's about it. But I say the ones I have played are always besides 15, but usually can be talking one of the best games of all time. I think the story of each one, the way it plays out over the whole thing, is great.
I just can't, like, as someone that didn't play Final Fantasy 6 or 7 back when they were released, I don't have that experience of at the time, but I just can't wrap my head around what pulled people in so much to this game. Like, looking at that. Like, and I love retro games, but like looking at that, I'm like, I can't imagine feeling super hyped for that.
Yeah.
See, Final Fantasy X was the first one I played, and I fell in love with that story, and I love turn-based combat, so I saw it through the end, which was about 50 or 60 hours.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to try more, and I tried some like 12 that didn't like I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I didn't like 12 either.
But I'd say like 7 was wonderful. The 6 was wonderful.
Like I get 10, especially that being your first one. Like there's the cutscenes, everything ties together. Well, you can get into that world. Whereas I look at 7, it's just text boxes. Like sure, it's
original 7.
Yeah,
I never played the original 7.
Yeah, but that's where everyone I feel like where Final Fantasy got its name. Yeah.
Well,
6 too. Yeah, but both of those. At the end of the day, yeah, good writing. But you're just reading text box. I can't imagine that grabbing my mind like
that's why I like games. That's how I feel about like point and click games that people love. Like I'm like it's the same thing to me as
like a Monkey Island.
Yeah. People love those games, and I've never played them, so I can't really see the charm. But I don't know.
Is that a controversial opinion? Point and click games suck?
No.
I was about to say I like some of them, but as a genre, it's not like one of my favorites.
All right, so my controversial opinion is Days Gone is a better game than Horizon Zero Dawn.
That is so controversial.
That is a bad opinion.
I think it's a fantastic game. I don't know what it is. I don't know what makes Days Gone better. I just know that I've played it once and played it for like 4 or 5 days straight and almost beat it. On Horizon Zero Dawn, I've restarted it 3 separate times and have never been able to get into it.
I think that Horizon is so unique where Days Gone is kind of lazy with its story. Like it's another zombie story where Horizon came up with this concept of these roaming robotic creatures that are doing all this stuff to like they were made to help the Earth, but in turns they end up going bad.
Besides the story, everything else is the same as Days Gone.
The combat is 10 times
that's where
better.
I was going to split because I'd say both of the stories feel lackluster. The setting I like better because I haven't seen that. I've seen zombies, but I'd say it's a toss-up on the story being not captivating. The gameplay, though, feels so much more creative with Horizon.
When I play Horizon and I shoot something with an arrow, it feels like nothing.
You're shooting the metal.
Yeah, you got to shoot
the weakness.
Dude, the feedback you get whenever you shoot
feels like nothing.
No, when you shoot one of those canisters,
it pops off.
Dude, you can feel the whole pop in your hand. Like I
on the new one, yes, I feel it on the new one.
I haven't played the new one.
The old one, I'd say it does it too. Like it felt good. Like the old one, I didn't click with as much. I would still say it's a better game than Days Gone because like finding out the weaknesses on these creatures and shooting them and stuff. Like I was interested in the combat. Like it just.
I'll say okay. I'm not gonna rag on Days Gone gameplay. It's fine. Like it is good. It's good gameplay. The main thing is the state of launch for each of those games. I can never get it out of my head that Days Gone was so broken and rushed, and Horizon had no problems. The first one, like at launch, had no problems.
Yeah,
and so like that saves space. Like in the general public's eye, I can see that argument because like everyone has their own taste for how a game feels to them, and I don't think it's that crazy for the general consumer to actually like Days Gone better. I think the reason the industry is so down on Days Gone is because of how it started, not where it ended up.
Well, didn't it come out that it actually sold more than Days Gone? Or Days Gone sold more than Horizon Forbidden West?
It may have. It sold really well. It did. It had a lot of bad press around that because it's kind of like Cyberpunk. It sold well at like a gotcha sold well type of thing. But I don't know if it sold better because Horizon sold a lot.
Yeah,
I don't remember the numbers, but
it's up there.
Yeah, it was one of the better selling PS4 games, but both of them sold really well.
I mean, Horizon's definitely not my favorite PlayStation exclusive by any means, but I think it does a unique thing that I'm glad to see out of this. It's not basing it on its like God of War, already established IP. Spider-Man, everybody knows Spider-Man. It's doing its own thing, so I kind of give it credit for that.
Yeah, and I think if I'm like the moderator here, the going between y'all two, I gotta lean Horizon because of that. It actually went outside the box, whereas I feel like Days Gone was them trying to capture the Naughty Dog thing and recapture that in a bottle, and they wanted to do something in between The Last of Us and Uncharted. So they're like, hey, that sold really well. Let's do that again and just slightly change it a little bit.
It's like they looked up the top 10 shows at that time. And it was Sons of Anarchy and Walking Dead, and they said, make a game out of that.
Yeah, but it's done really well. The biker gang is done really well.
The gameplay, like what I've done of it, riding a motorcycle and stuff. It feels good.
Just saying that they took it off of TV shows, like saying The Walking Dead season 1 from Telltale wasn't good because it's off a TV show.
But that was actually the thing, though. Yeah. That was actually Walking Dead. It is. Again, we're going to the story. Like I think they did it well in terms of the gameplay and how it feels to be in that world. But the guy you're playing is so unlikable, and the people around him are unlikable. I don't like him. I don't like the other dude. Like it starts off on a bad foot with the whole biker gang getting out.
I don't like either one of them.
Boozer's the shit.
I was not intrigued at all with the helicopter situation at the beginning, the opening cutscene. I was like, you don't have me hooked yet.
No.
I mean, I played another few hours of it, and I was like, I don't see any reason to press on here.
As I played, I did not care about this woman at all, and then until the end.
I'd say it's a fair opinion. It is controversial, though. I feel like more people would go the other way on it.
But Horizon got a sequel, so that's
that is an argument.
Days Gone
will never get a sequel.
Would have gotten a sequel
if it
I think
good.
that comes back to
it is good. Have you gone back and played it?
I've played it on the PlayStation 5 with the 60 frame update.
You didn't like it? Not even a little bit?
I think that's a matter of...
That's crazy.
If it released right now, it probably would feel better for us. But it's like the time kind of passed, you know? It's like a lot of people returning to Cyberpunk once it was fixed, and they're like, the hype.
I can't sit there and play that game and not want to play something else.
That's fair. I get that way with a lot of good games. I get that way. I'm like, I'd rather be playing this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
That's a fucking you problem. Both of you.
That's plenty of people. Like, you're like, it's my time being spent the way I want it to right now, so I question it. Yeah.
My God. I'm going to start playing Persona 5, fuck Elden Ring.
Yeah, if your heart's calling you to that,
to that.
Like, part of me misses Arceus, but I'm like, I will not like it if I'm getting on there and I actually want to be playing Elden Ring. That's just how my head works. So who's next?
All right. Arkham Origins is a severely underrated game and is possibly the best in the series.
Oof.
I'm going to stay out of this one because I never played Origins because I couldn't get it.
Okay.
They wouldn't let you buy
Story
it on Xbox One.
Is just as good as any of the other ones. Like Arkham, you're in a prison. Arkham City, you're behind these walls. So you never get to see Gotham besides Arkham Knight. I can't say that one didn't do it well because you actually see Gotham. But Gotham in the wintertime is the setting for Arkham Origins, and you get to explore it. And there's no big prison walls to keep you from keep going to where you want to go. Yeah. The story is good. These 8 assassins are after Batman, and you can kind of like most of them are side missions too, so you can kind of do them in a different order. But like just the whole him becoming the like who he is in the later games is I thought it was an awesome concept.
I do agree that the story is underrated, and I agree that the game is underrated, but I disagree saying it's the best Arkham game.
It just feels small from it. Like I said, I didn't play it, and but at the time, it seemed like it came and went without a blink. Like nobody was talking about it, and that's just my perspective.
See, what I hate is that they act like that was so much worse than Rocksteady's Batman games, and it's definitely not. Yeah. Like it's better than Asylum to me, and like I think it's better than City. I mean, story like there's big story moments in City that's hard to say that Origins is better than, but like. If I had to pick one to play, it would be Origins, just because like it's more fun to play that game.
It also had one of the best cinematic trailers of all time.
Yeah,
him
really
fighting Deathstroke in the shipyard.
And like, it had that like Christmassy kind of theme to it. So like there's a Christmas Carol of the Bells is playing when you fight cool. Joker at the end, and it's a real cinematic fight, which I feel like the other games they never give you a good Joker fight. Like,
I just feel like that
definitely
one
not the first one.
Yeah,
didn't reach AAA. You know, like that's what holds it back, and that's why people like they see which one is that Warner Brothers Montreal.
Yeah.
They see that and they're like, "Oh, this is just them filling the gap," and they don't think of it as because it ain't a mainline game really. So like that, I think it's just a blockage in people's head. You know, that keeps them from putting it up there with the others.
But they had a Deathstroke fight in that game that was awesome. It was top tier. But that's mine.
All right, that's a good one though. I like it. My next one is I'm gonna go after you a little bit, Cole. Cyberpunk, when it works correctly, is a better role-playing game than The Witcher 3.
When it works correctly. I have yet to play it when it works correctly.
See, I haven't played Cyberpunk enough to have an argument here, so I'll just kind of moderate.
I'll say this. I have not played it in about 7 months, and I was going through a second playthrough as a female V, and it still looked grainy. After all and I play on the Xbox One.
I will say what I've played of Witcher 3, the side stuff and like the side quests and all that are so interesting.
Yeah, they're really good, but okay. I'm not saying it's a better game. Even when it works well, I still think The Witcher 3 is a better game. I said role-playing game.
Okay.
Because I don't like... That's my problem with playing a named character in a role-playing game. Is that I'm Geralt. Like, I'm not me doing the things I really want to do. It's like Geralt's doing this.
Also, the skills and perk building in Witcher 3 is not, it's very convoluted, because I got on there recently to like go through stuff, and I was like, how the fuck do I do this?
I hate the menu in Witcher 3. Honestly, I hate the crafting.
Oh, it was worse when it first released.
Oh yeah, they actually upgraded that, so it was really bad at first.
But yeah, I could see what you're saying about the RPG and progression and everything.
As much problems as Cyberpunk had, it is a great, like, make what you want of yourself in that game. Yeah. Sure, they overpromised, and a lot of things that they said were going to be there, they just weren't, and they should be called out for that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, people are acting like it doesn't deserve to be put up there with some games like Fallout, which I think it does a lot of the same things just as well as Fallout.
And they've also gone back and added a bunch of stuff. They didn't add everything that they said was going to be in the game, but they added, like, when you first started the game, you could not change your character.
No.
Like nothing about them. Now you can change like their hair and shit, but you can't change like the cybernetics.
It's the little stuff like that though is why they've lost a lot of trust. Like things they acted like we just had no question they would be there, and then they're just mysteriously not in the game after all this time and all this hype. I hope CD Projekt Red learned a lesson about talking too much.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, what's yours?
All right.
Cole?
My next one is I don't know why. I don't know what it is, and I've played a better one since, but GTA 4 is a 9 out of 10. Because I know it's controversial because I know you guys hate it.
Yeah. It's not controversial to the general public. It's a 9 out of 10. I thought you were going to say it's the best GTA. That's a little more controversial, but still, it's the best rated GTA. Like, it has a 98 on
Does
Metacritic.
It really?
I don't.
Yeah.
I had such a hard time vibing with that one. I don't know why.
It's too grounded, which for GTA up to that point, it hadn't really been. Like, there was a little bit of that in Vice. No, like even at that was especially not grounded. San Andreas a little more. It's like they did start moving that way with
Well,
San
it's just
Andreas.
like coming off of Vice City and San Andreas, and you get this one, and to me, the main protagonist was not interesting.
Nico Bellic?
Mm-mm.
Love his accent.
He was kind of
everything.
stale to me. Yeah.
Oh, he's crazy as hell. I love when he gets drunk and he starts. You can't even fucking.
I feel like he
understand.
was. I didn't see him express emotion, and I love the DLC for it. I will agree with like the Bout of Gay Tony and the
Lost and the
Lost
Damned.
and Damned. Awesome, like it's awesome games, and they had good characters. It was just mainly like I didn't like Nico. I didn't like the Roman. I didn't like.
Well, I think
Roman
that's
Bellic is
fair
the worst.
Yeah.
to point out Nico because maybe not compared to all main characters, but compared to all Rockstar main characters, he's got to be last.
No, he's better
Yeah.
than Michael.
No,
No,
Michael's a fat alcoholic who's mean as shit to his family.
Michael's more interesting though. There's so
Michael
many
is a
layers to him.
dickbag. If
He
I met
is.
Michael in
Well,
real life,
so
I'd
is
hate him.
Trevor. Like, but we love these characters because they're complex. Nico didn't feel complex to me.
Nico felt one note to me. That's just my life.
Yeah.
I feel like he could be exploding like in a cutscene, exploding shit around him, and he's just not.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
He's the same Nico.
He's there for whatever
Yeah.
happens.
I love Nico. I love how goofy he looks with his fucking big nose, and then like how he walks, and it looks like he walks with a lean. I mean, every character.
But I mean, that's still not like a bad review of him to say he's the worst Rockstar main character because they've all been good. You know, like they do well with that.
All right. So this one I kind of wrapped into a double because it's kind of all the same system. Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie are better games than Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario 64.
So we got to do it as a pair.
So you're saying
Oh, we can break it down to Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart 64.
didn't play Mario Kart 64 Diddy Kong Racing, but you're saying that Mario Kart 64, the game that is said to have changed the industry, is not as good as Banjo-Kazooie.
Or no,
Well-
Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, I'm comparing the racing games and the platformers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
close for me. I love both of those games for different reasons. Better. It's hard to say better.
Well, it's just
Mario
like-
Kart 64 is like at the time pristine. Like
No, did you say Super Mario 64?
yeah, against Banjo.
Banjo,
Yes.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Super Mario
okay.
64.
Okay, you're
You're
gonna stay
saying
off the other one.
that game changed everything, and you're saying Banjo's better?
It is because Banjo was made because of. I mean, Super Mario 64 is a classic game, but Banjo, the creator saw that and made a better world. Every world in there's better worlds, better NPCs. Honestly, the controls are better. Like I care more about learning these moves. You learn moves. That's another thing. You learn moves. You don't learn shit in Mario 64.
I mean, I don't disagree with you because I've never played any of these games except Banjo, and I just wanted to hear how you would.
Yeah,
defend
it's
it.
just like I respect Mario 64 for what it is, but Banjo is just a better. It plays better. Like everything is better in that game. Now, the transition to Diddy Kong Racing, it's the same thing where it got released after Mario Kart 64, but they've done stuff that Mario Kart games have still not done, which is have a story mode and have a hub where you get to drive around and actually go to which level you want to go to, which are tracks. I mean, it's still race tracks, but there's actual story to it. There's boss fights. There's like the characters are all interesting. I mean, it's just
that's fair, and I would say I'm closer on Banjo over Mario 64. The story mode is a great point, and it's a good package and everything. At the end of the day, it's not Mario and Peach and Yoshi and Luigi. Like, it's still a spin-off. Like, I can't not see that. So if I'm doing a racing game here, a kart racer, I'd rather it be this superstar game, which is Mario.
yeah.
You know, like Diddy Kong, yeah, you got him and Donkey Kong and like all that gang.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong ain't in it. Oh yeah,
It's-
he's in kart.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. In Diddy Kong Racing, a character that's based off of Donkey Kong's entire existence, Donkey Kong's not in it.
But Banjo is in it,
I forgot about that too.
and Conker from Conker's Bad
Yeah,
Fur Day.
rare.
Ooh.
See, it's not quite an all-star cast. Like, it's a good cast.
It's not a bad cast.
But I think at the end of the day, it's the only reason I can't quite say that. It's close. They're both fun in different ways. And I'd love to have that come back, have Diddy Kong Racing come back. I don't think we'll ever see that, but yeah. Now, I would probably say Banjo's right there, too. It's just Super Mario 64 led to some of my favorite games of all time. But I guess if you're breaking it down to how good the game is, like, you got to remove yourself from that. And on both of those, I think it's a fair opinion.
Yeah.
But we'll transition right into mine, which falls pretty well in line with your Banjo and Mario one. If Immortals Fenyx Rising was a Legend of Zelda game, it would be better reviewed than Breath of the Wild. It would be more well received. Because the exact same thing you said, where they saw this thing that came out before them, and they said, how can we streamline this and make things work better, the places that they weren't top-notch?
Yeah.
And that was combat and slow traversal. I'm not going to say it's a better game, because at the end of the day, the world is not as interesting. It hasn't had the time to build that. But I'll say if it was a Legend of Zelda game, it's a more fun game.
There's definitely, like, the story of Immortals is there, and it's always progressing, whereas in Legend of Zelda, if you get sidelined, you don't get those story beats.
No.
It's more of you making your own thing. I mean, yeah, it's the kind of opinion I just made, but I think even if it wasn't Breath of the Wild, like if it was just Breath of the Wild and it wasn't Legend of Zelda game, I think it still would have been.
I think it'd be a good game. I don't think people would put it at the top of the list. I mean, and that's a lot of games that have these names behind them. Like, the appeal of that series helps it. I just think when you take it down to core gameplay and mechanics and everything, I'll say that Immortals is a more fun game to play.
And it may be just because I played so much of Breath of the Wild, but I couldn't get into Immortals. Like, I just had a hard time.
Well, it's probably like me with Souls-like games. If they're not FromSoft, then I'm like, I'd rather just play the game that I fell in love with first, you know?
But
so that's why you won't try Neo?
Yeah, sort of. Also, it's a PlayStation exclusive, and it's very specific games that I switch over to my PlayStation for, which is that's a controversial thing in itself.
No, I did play Immortals Fenyx Rising, or whatever the fuck it's called. Jeez, here we go again with
the name. Could have been better. Like, it probably would have been better reviewed if it was just called Gods and Monsters instead of Immortals Fenyx Rising.
Why does Immortals Fenyx Rising harder to say than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Yeah,
it's like
it doesn't flow well.
Yeah, but anyway, I played them both, and Immortals Fenyx Rising is more my type of game because it holds your hand a little bit more, and the story's a little bit more involved. And Legend of Zelda is pretty much like, go to this village.
Yeah. And then you just kind of figure it out.
Find out where the village is.
I like that in Dark Souls games. And it does feel good when it works in Breath of the Wild. I just feel like if you're not like me, I've never been that much of a Zelda guy. I like it from an outsider's perspective. But I didn't have that connection to where I was just like, I'm just going to happen upon whatever, I come across. So at times I would get out of it whenever I'm just out there and I'm like, I'm climbing a mountain, got to the top, and there's nothing there. It's like, I'll just turn it off for now, and then I don't come back to it for days or weeks or years.
Immortals has that Ubisoft problem where there's hundreds of little map markers.
Oh, yeah. They need to chill on that. Yeah.
There's all these activities and stuff where Breath of the Wild, if you stumble upon an activity like the seal race or something, it's not on your map, but it feels like you've discovered something that, I don't know, it kind of makes me feel like I got a better feeling.
You found a secret.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that. Ubisoft needs to fix that. It's overwhelming.
It's all their games.
Exactly.
It's all their games.
Be there.
Yeah, it's my biggest problem with Far Cry 6.
It's like, I've climbed a tower. Good God, I can see every little side mission that is there, instead of just coming across it naturally.
And I love Ubisoft open worlds, but I hate that aspect. So I don't know. I'm torn. Like, I don't know how they would fix it.
Well, they just make it more natural that these things are happening. Maybe a side mission unlocks some other side missions around there. Like, there needs to be more progression to it instead of like, here, have at it. Because like then you feel like you're missing out on it because it's all there, and so it just stresses you out a little bit.
What I hope that Breath of the Wild 2 is more like Elden Ring with the lore discoverable and like there's stuff sprinkled in a little more. Like, I hope they learn from the first one with not having enough story there, that they kind of put some more in there.
Yeah. I've beat this horse with you a lot. It makes no sense that it's a Legend of Zelda game, and there's like sometimes there's dialogue. There's like key characters you talk to, and there's no voiceover.
Yeah.
And they're just mouth moving, and it's not even like Animal Crossing where they put some sound in there to make it.
Yes.
It's literally just a text box and mouth moving. And it's like, this is a character that's sitting on a throne right now telling me to go take down one of the divine beasts, and she's not even actually talking to me. This is a AAA game. You should put that in there.
Yeah, that's all right. It's just comes down to one of those weird Nintendo decisions.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
I wonder if in Japan they have the Japanese.
I don't think so. I think it's just like they don't see.
They don't think it's important.
They don't. Yeah, it's just weird things they do like that. Like
Final Fantasy used to be that way too.
They could
they
really
didn't think it was important.
Step up their
production
games with voice acting when it would make sense.
Yeah.
Like Link still doesn't have to talk, but make the people around him talk. Like I agree with that.
All right, so my last controversial game pick or game opinion is QuickTime events are the worst mechanic in video games of all time.
I like the all-time thrown on there.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Because let me take you back to, I don't fucking know, 2000 and something. I'm a little kid. I'm sitting on my bed in my dad and stepmom's house, and I'm playing a little game called James Bond: Quantum of Solace. And I'm having a pretty good time. It's, a third-person shooter. I'm shooting some guys in a greenhouse. I'm just having a hell of a time. Fun and dandy. And then I go to an airport, and I'm fighting this guy in an airport, and it's a QuickTime event. I tried that QuickTime event 50 times, never beat it. It made me turn off the game and never touch it. Never.
It was a good game, too. Like, I mean, a decent game. Like a good Bond game.
And it was fun for me.
I agree with you, but there's times where it works.
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say. I know exactly what y'all are going to say. And God of War, it's okay. No, it isn't.
Spider-Man.
That game would not exist without QTEs.
It would be better without QTEs because you can actually focus. When I play a God of War game, the original ones, and I'm fighting a boss, and I have to do a QTE, I'm on pins and needles because I'm
That's
not
what they
fast.
want you to feel, though.
Yeah, but I want to see the You made a dope-ass animation of beheading Hercules. I want to see it.
I would say, like, the Hydra closing its mouth in on you, and you're having to tap circle. Like, if I was just tapping one button, I wouldn't get that same urgency of it. Maybe I don't make it out of this.
Yeah, but you would be able to see what's happening. Like, you fucking pulled... I don't remember any of the... I know that this is controversial, but
I don't look down at my controller when I play games.
I don't look down at my controller, but I'm just so hyper focused. I have to, if I miss X and I hit square instead, I fuck up the whole QTE and I have to start over again, which happens a lot with me.
And then you get to watch that great cutscene again.
I don't even remember not one of the boss's deaths, except for you pull off Hermes' fucking legs or some shit.
No, that's fair. It is the most annoying feeling when you have to restart a section because you missed some stupid QTE.
An input.
Even like Spider-Man PS4 did fine with them. Like I feel like I said they were pretty necessary, just so you're not watching a long cutscene of Spider-Man doing stuff when you're supposed to be him. But there's sometimes where you hit a freaking pole and it's like restart, and you do it again. It's like it takes you out of it. It slows it down. Sometimes I probably would rather see the cutscene at that point.
What other games have QTEs that I can just shit on for you guys right now?
I'm pretty sure Gears of War has some.
Gears has turn the turnstile, like press X and then you press A to turn the turnstile.
Yeah, well, that's not as much as that. Yeah.
I was just thinking that. And then, press X to lift the gate.
Most hack and slash has some form of QTE in there,
It's to slow the combat down so you get a cool kill.
I can't come up with too many off the top of my head. Like God of War's immediately there and like Dante's Inferno, stuff like that. But I'm sure Bayonetta had a crap ton of them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Bayonetta.
But no, I agree that they are a bad mechanic. I think sometimes they can be done well.
QTE should die forever.
So my last one I have today, Abby in Last of Us 2 is a great character with understandable motivations. And if we would have started with her reasons
in Last of Us first one,
anytime, that she would be more liked than she is.
Not the way they told the story.
I mean,
from the moment
I sympathized with her after I saw why she did what she did.
No, I could never.
He killed her papa.
Okay. I mean, sure, that part, the whole thing's jacked up. But if they wouldn't have shown him saving her right there, like if he had just walked away or something, I would have got it. But he showed compassion to her and saved her life, and then she turns around and does that.
But
she had every chance to give up on this vengeance, and she's an awful person.
Here's a question I just thought about.
Like the compassion part, I think it would paint him too white or black if he didn't show it. So he showed it there, but he didn't show it at the hospital. So it kind of gives you he's a better character for changing.
Do you think if he never met Ellie, he would show that compassion? Because you remember in the first Last of Us, he's talking about all the bad shit he did. He wouldn't show that compassion if he didn't meet Ellie. Well, so I think that adds another layer.
I get she doesn't know his feeling when he walks in there to save Ellie and kills her dad, but she should have seen it. I don't know. At the end of the day, the way they showed me the game, with him doing that and helping her, and then she turns around and kills him, I was never going to be able to come around to her story. So every time they tried, that's what pissed me off with the game.
Well, I think it's like they wanted you in that moment to hate her, and it's kind of like one of those things that they flash back, and it makes you like realize why. Like, I didn't like anybody in her crew, and that could be said at the end of the day. I didn't really care about all of them, but I think like all of them had motivations for being it's just a different
They
crew.
were all so hateable. I thought they'd make me come around on any of them. Everyone in that side of the game sucked. And this is going to sound dramatic, but it was disrespectful to us as fans of that franchise to try and do that to us, to make us so angry at her and be like, no, we're going to reel you back in. The moment that they made me play as her, I was like, these guys for doing this to me.
I jumped off a cliff the first couple times I played.
I did too. Yeah, I was like, I'm killing her right now.
When you finally you play through Abby's all of her storyline and you get back to the theater for the fight, I didn't want either one of those characters to die in that moment. I didn't want that fight to happen. I didn't.
It's the futility of revenge is what they're trying to show you.
I mean, it's just that I can understand why she did what she did, because I think it's pretty reasonable.
If these were movies, I might could have came around on it. But the fact that I spent 20 hours as him, maybe not 20 hours, but somewhere in that range, and then to see her just like, it's like they discarded him for her.
But I disagree with that though, because they killed him in that way, but they also went back and did flashbacks still showing him. It's not like they ever try to sway you that he was bad. It's just that he made that one big move that got him killed.
But
like they go back to the museum and he's like, that's an awesome scene. There's the scene on the porch.
That is an awesome
That's a great scene. Like, he loves Ellie, but he's also done bad things and it caught up to him. And like, I mean, that's just part of it.
But think about, like, let's take Last of Us 2 off the table. And at the end of Last of Us, how did you feel? Because I felt very confused.
I understood, like, in that moment, especially having kids.
But
if I was in this situation, he didn't have to kill the doctor. Well, yeah, no, the doctor wasn't going to let him take him.
He killed everyone.
Yeah, if that's what it took, I did the same for my daughter.
I think I was more
that's
on,
the way he felt.
like, I got why he did it, but then I think it's them going, well, hold on, this doctor here had a family, and then you start thinking about in the hospital, it's just killing NPC, like, it's just killing people that you don't, it's just more enemies. But then they take one and like, well, this one had a daughter and all this, and you took that away, it starts showing you a little more, I guess.
I mean, they humanized it. I don't know. It's just, I didn't like the transition into, I love Ellie, and I was happy to play as her.
Also,
but it felt forced that they're like, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to kill him. And then I could have lived with that, even like the vengeance side of her, and then her having to sort that out. But when they made me play Abby, it unwrote everything that the first half of that game's fantastic. Would have been one of my favorite games ever. And then they unwrote the entire writing up until that point whenever they made you play as Abby.
I think the better way to interwove that would have been Ellie day one, Abby day one, and mixed it in more.
Right.
So you're not
playing, I agree, yeah. So it could have been told in a better way.
So you're not playing 8 to 10 hours of Ellie, 8 to 10 hours of Abby, and then like you haven't seen Ellie in so long that you forgot that she was in this game. Like, that could have been a lot better, but I did like come to understand Abby.
But also the way they killed Joel with a fucking golf club.
Oh yeah,
they didn't just shoot him; they beat his head in, and they showed it. It's
completely.
It adds another layer of hatred to this lady.
Yeah. At the end of the day, my problem is, like you said, you see her side of it. I see the way they wrote her, and like, I hate anything that breaks immersion from the game to where I'm thinking of Neil Druckmann writing this and being like, aha, we're gonna get them. This is gonna shock this gamer, and like, yeah, it shocked me. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna give you the win that I'm like, yeah, that was a smart decision.
I really hated getting duped.
Really, that's what it was. I felt duped and tricked at that. Well, no, I felt forced because like they already had me this deep in the game. I want to know how it ends, but I was like, I don't want to play as this.
There's
bitch.
definitely better ways to do it, but I stand by that was an important part of the game. Like,
I think that's why they did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's memorable, and we're talking about it, and we'll be talking about it for a long time. But at the end of the day, for me, it's double-sided, where the game is fantastic, but it's also terrible to me.
And that was our most controversial gaming opinions. Like I said earlier, if you do agree or disagree, just put it down in the comments and we'll be down there with you. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you would.